Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the end of year roundup sort of thing that I want to do for this year, where I talk about the games I played this year and what I thought about them and all of that good jazz. So let's put some music on, a bit quieter so I can actually think about what I'm saying. There we go. Okay. We started the year, January 1st, by continuing through Final Fantasy V, which we had began. Let me scroll down here for a second. Which we began in December 15th. So just before the end of the year. I do that a lot. I start a thing just before the end of the year and then carry on into the new year, which I'll probably do this year too. I'm recording this on the 12th, by the way. So if I finish Dragonfest Heroes by the end of this might be another one to add. But yeah, started FF5. I think FF5 is a really good game with some bullshit fights. But every Final Fantasy, at least of that era, had some bullshit fights in it. The customization and stuff for that time was like incredible. Like the amount of choice you had and everything else was just so cool. Like I really enjoyed it a lot. And then as soon as we were done with FF5, just fine closing things on FF5. Yeah, it's a really good game. Not my favourite SNES one. I think FF4 is still my favourite SNES one. But 5 is up there with 6 for me. They're both about the same in terms of goodness in my mind. Yes, that's fine. Go away. Yes, that's fine. Yahoo, please. Yeah, I really enjoyed FF5 a lot, and I played it. You know, that wasn't the first time I've ever played it. I played it that was probably like the third or fourth playthrough I've done of it, but that was really good. Then we moved on to Donkey Kong 64. Oh baby. Donkey Kong 64 it started January the 13th and ended January the 28th. So within a month, I had finished it. That was really cool. I like Donkey Kong 64 a lot. It's a good collectathon that gets a lot of shit because it's too big. There's too much shit to collect, and I agree that is a bit much. But I think it was definitely a very good game, and I still like it more than Banjo-Kazooie. Don't at me. I just enjoy Donkey Kong more. He's my favourite Nintendo character, so I'm biased in that way. But yeah, it's a really good game. I enjoyed it a lot. The gameplay is fine. I mean, some of the golden bananas are a bit and I don't like the progression in some of the levels. But I do think it's fine, like as a good game. Beaver Bother can die, but that's just everyone's opinion. That's not necessarily fair. Then I played some bonus games. I played Golftopia, cute little indie game. I really like it. At the time I played it, it didn't have that much content. I think it has some more now, but I don't know how much they added to it. But it's a really good game. And then I played Top Gear Rally, which is a very good N64 racing game, which was very hard to emulate at the time, but it's a very good game. I've still never finished it, but I like playing it a lot. One of these days I need to actually finish it. Then I played Slay the Spire, the final day in January, which is the very, very good game. A card building game, roguelike, or roguelite, I should say. But it's one of those games that's not really my genre, because I don't really like deck building games, but it was fine. I like playing it, and it was nice. I like the way it looks. Some people don't. They think it looks like a mobile game. I like the way it looks, and I like the way it plays, and for those people who enjoy that kind of game, it's incredible. Then there was the big one. There were a couple big playthroughs this year. The first big one was finishing FF15. I started it years before, but started in February 1st, I started playing FF15 again, and that lasted all the way through, with no gap in between. Let's see. So February the 1st until... Hang on, there's still more going on. Until at least April. There we go. Until April the 28th. So from February the 1st until nearly May. So nearly 3 months solid. With a couple of things in between. I played Mario Kart 64 in between. Just because I guess I felt like it. Which is a great game. FF15 is a really good game, hamstrung by the developers giving up on it too early. There was going to be more story DLC, and I think if they implemented the story DLC, the game would have been much better. But I enjoyed it for what it was either way. Grinding to kill Omega wasn't very fun, but I did it, and as my predilection forces me to, I have to beat things when I start them and decide I'm going to do it. So, all in all, I think FF15 is actually a good Final Fantasy, although it's not the kind of Final Fantasy I like. It is a good one. And it's a different kind of game too, so it might have a different audience to the people who played FF4 through 10, you know? Like FF12, when I played that again, I thought I didn't like it, but I actually quite like it. I just didn't like the original version. These Zodiac job system really fixed a lot of shit up, and the Zodiac Age even more so. Then I played Children of Morta, which is a very cool indie game, roguelite, but more action-based. So a lot of melee attacks and things like that. That wasn't particularly long. I really enjoyed my time with that game. And that started in April the 29th and ended in May the 20th. So basically about a month. There was 22 episodes. That's the kind of length I like for a small game, in quotes. It takes me a month to beat it. That's good. I enjoy that kind of length of game. It's very cool. I enjoy playing it. I enjoy the thrill of that kind of game, although I'm not particularly good at them. I do like playing them, and it was a very well-crafted experience, and I enjoyed it. I think it could have had some more content, and I wouldn't have been upset, which is a sign of a good game. If you gave me more game, I wouldn't have been unhappy. So that's a good thing. Then I played Main Assembly, which is a vehicle building game. You have to collect various objectives and missions, and it started on May 21st and ended on June the 2nd. So within about 2 weeks, it was 13 episodes. Within about 2 weeks, I'd finished it. This game, I don't particularly enjoy. I don't try and be negative, although I'm a very negative person. I don't try and be negative about other people's hard work if I can help it. But I just don't think it's the right kind of game for me. The way the things work felt a bit janky at times, and the objectives were a bit arbitrary, especially in the open world levels. And the space controls, I'm just too stupid to understand them. That's not the game's fault. But I do enjoy the idea of the game, and I would like to play the games like it, because I do enjoy the idea of building things and flying around and seeing what you can do, and the objectives made it more interesting than if it was just a sandbox, which I would have given up very quickly on. But yeah, not my favourite game of the year, but I don't regret playing it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought maybe I could have done. Then there was another big one. The next big one was Borderlands 2. I've played through all the Borderlands 2 with my friend Levi many years ago. Like over 15 years ago when it came out. And I enjoyed it then. I didn't like it as much as Borderlands 1 back then, and I still don't now. Because it's more wacky than Borderlands 1. And I always like Borderlands 1 slightly more serious, very slightly more serious stuff going on. I'll go play Borderlands 3 in the pre-sequel at some point. The P-sequel. That'll happen. But yeah, that started on June the 3rd. So we're already halfway through the year. Years go by quick, it's scary. And lasted through July. All the way up until September the 10th. So all of August. And all of... and half of... like the first week of September. That game I enjoyed enough to play through the entire thing twice. I played through the whole game once. With the... normal playthrough, and then I played through the whole game again when I started getting stuck on the super bosses in True Hunter Volta mode, and recorded all of it and did it in the supercuts, which I enjoyed. The reason why they even exist, some people might say, well, I just cut the playthrough out, is because I have to show people what I did, just to prove that I did it. You know, I didn't just download a save file and say, oh, here you go. I did it, which would be the easy thing to do. I actually played through it again, not for anything other than my own, like, honesty. Basically. But yeah, that ended on September the 10th, and I did everything you could do in the game. And I was pretty happy with myself with that, to be honest. Because it was quite difficult, and it was something that I don't regret doing. But I won't do it for the pre-sequel in Borderlands 3, because it was a bit much. I was, at the end, not having fun anymore. I was just doing it because of compulsion. But I'm glad that the reception to the videos were quite good. People seem to enjoy them quite a lot. Then, after Borderlands 2, I played Blue Fire, which is September 11th. until like midway through the start of October or something. Oh no, it's to the end of September 20th. Blue Fire is a indie game 3D platformer action game where the platforming is a lot of the element of the thing. Sort of like a Hat in Time style movement, dashes and jumps and things like that, and you have combat. The game is good. It was very short. It only lasted 10 episodes. It was very short, but I don't think that's bad. Again, the short games, quote unquote, I like to be less than a month long. So if they can be done in a week or two, then I'm happy with that. It gives me different experiences too, and I get like a full experience in less time than an RPG, which is my normal haunt that I like to play. But Blue Fire was really good. I liked the mechanics, I liked the movement, it was very fluid. I liked the way that the soundtrack worked, I liked the visuals and all that stuff. The combat is kind of bare bones, it's extremely Zelda-esque for all of the problems that brings. So it's just like one button attack and that's it. They came out with a DLC that I won't play because I tend to be done with games and I've finished them, and so I really, really enjoyed them, like an old Final Fantasy, which I'll play again and again and again. But I hope that, I keep saying, sorry, but I hope that they make DLC and people enjoyed that too, because it's a very good game and I think you should check it out. I'm going to remember to put all the links to these games in the description, so you can check them out on Steam or wherever. They're very cool. Yes, right. Then, in September 21st, I moved on to Chasm. Chasm is a Metroidvania-style game. This lasted until September the 30th, so basically last day of September. The game is very cool. It's quite short, but it was difficult and interesting. Not so difficult that I felt like it was insane, but it was nicely done, and I enjoyed it, and I liked my time with it, and the graphics were very cool, and bellissima, and I enjoyed it a lot. And it's the kind of game that I think anyone can pick up and play and enjoy, which is the main thing. We're supposed to be playing games to have fun, not just to massage our egos about how good we are. Then, speaking of a game that doesn't massage your ego, makes you feel like a piece of shit, but that's the point. Disco Elysium. We're into October now. We're into the last part of the year. We played Disco Elysium. And so that is an incredible game that I absolutely love. That we played until November the 8th. So we're already into November by the time that ends. It's 39 episodes. That's the kind of length of an RPG that I enjoy. It's a month and a bit of an hour-long episodes quite often. So that's like a 35-hour experience. Not every RPG has to be 80 hours long, like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It was actually 120 hours long, which is a bit too much. I ended up playing nearly 200 hours by the end, I think. It was stupid how much I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And I still have to play the DLC at some point, which I will when the new Switch comes out and I can play it at high resolution. Anyway, Disco Elysium. What can I say about this game? It's insane. It's really cool. It's not as open-ended as you think it might be on first brush, but it's so good. The storytelling is good. It's an RPG that is not the kind of RPG that I generally play, which is an RPG that has a lot of story and not any combat whatsoever. It's all story driven. I like turn-based RPGs, JRPGs, that kind of thing, not for the story but for the combat and the mechanics. I enjoyed it. I like making the small number into the big number. There's none of that here. Disco Elysium is so heavily story driven, and if you haven't seen my playthrough, play the game yourself. Enjoy it, experience it. It's really good. I really, really enjoy it. And I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys RPGs and enjoys good storytelling. Although it will be controversial. If you're the sort of person who gets offended by things that could be considered on or over the line, then you might want to steer clear. But for me, as someone who has kind of always been okay with that sort of stuff, I enjoy it a great deal. Anyway, we've got, after that, on November 9th, I started playing Ukulele The Impossible Lair, up until November 23rd, so we're nearly into December already. Ukulele Impossible Lair. And that game, considering I don't necessarily like the original Ukulele very much, because it isn't Donkey Kong 64 and it isn't Banjo-Kazooie, it just feels like a rip-off of those games without any of the heart and soul that those games had. The Impossible Lair, by comparison, is insanely good. It's a good 2D side-scroller that evokes the feeling of Donkey Kong Country without trying to ape it so clearly. It's just a very good game that's last level is too hard, in my opinion, by comparison to the rest of the game. If you have like I want to be the guy or I want to be the bossy or whatever, you know that you're going to get your shit pushed in every time you try and play it because that's the game. When you have the impossible lair and all the levels are fairly easy except the final one, which is incredibly hard, it feels like they didn't know how to balance it properly. I still say to this day, having the impossible lair, you only have one life, that's fine. But having it so that you can checkpoint at every section, so I don't have to replay the first section 100 times knowing that I can do it without getting hit consistently, would be really cool and would make the game a lot more fun for me, but it's an optional objective you don't have to do. So if you're only playing the game to play the game and finish it, then I would recommend the impossible lair to anyone who likes 2D side-scrollers. It's really, really cool. I like it a lot. Then I played Street Racer, which is a game of its time. It's a good little SNES racing game that is unfortunately quite stereotypical of the era that it was in and has caricatures of people that I would consider offensive by today's standards and probably was offensive then, but people didn't seem to care as much then. But I still like the gameplay of the game. It's like Mario Kart, except you're more involved in the things you do. It's not item luck that wins you the game, it's how aggressive you are and how well you drive, which is good. Then I played Ogre Battle 64 for one game, for a one-off special, which is a game I really enjoy as well. It's weird what gets views on my channel. So obviously I'm always talking like double-digit views is incredible for me, but the things that get likes and get views. It's strange. But Ogre Battle 64 is a very good game. It's an RPG, real-time strategy in a sense, although it's not like StarCraft or Age of Empires or anything. It's more like you have a strategy element and a battle element. The battle plays out automatically and you just position the units how you want them, basically. But it's a very good game and I really enjoy the story. I think you should play it if you can. It's on the Wii Virtual Console. It's probably the best way to play it, in fact. If you have a Wii and you still have the game on the console. I know the Wii Shop is down now, so if you didn't have it, then emulate it, I guess. I don't know how else you would play it. Unless Nintendo wants to offer it, then I think emulation is a solid answer. But don't tell them I said that. Then we played Monster Hunter World, which is a very good game in the Monster Hunter series. Slightly more casual gameplay loop made it a bit more accessible, which is not necessarily bad because the game is always infamously not accessible for anyone. And the tryhards want it that way, but I don't. And then we played Transistor, which I was hesitant to play, to be honest. I only played it because I didn't know what else to play. And I was a little bit reticent to play it because I'm like, I don't really know if I'm going to like it. It's a bit artsy-fartsy, I'm not sure. But I do enjoy the game quite a lot. It had good gameplay, it had good mechanics, and that's all I really need in a game. But after all that, I would say that ultimately that is a good game and that I would probably recommend it as well to other people at the same time. And that brings us to December, which is where we started Dragonfest Heroes, which is what we're currently playing right now. And we'll probably be playing until the new year, although it depends how long it is. If it ends in another 10 episodes, it'll be Christmas Day when it ends. When this video is going to go out, by the way. As a note to myself, mainly. But yeah, Dragonfest Heroes, I haven't finished it yet, so I can't give you a perfect understanding of the game. But I can see why people don't like it, and I can see why people do like it. I like the Warriors-style gameplay, so it's just a kind of game for me. And I don't necessarily like the core gameplay loop is a bit generic so far, but that doesn't necessarily make it bad. I'm easily pleased. I make the numbers go big, I'm happy. So that's where we're at. So how many games is that in total? That's 1 and then 2. I'm not going to count the one-offs because I didn't finish them. Games are finished. 3 and 4. It'll be less than I hope, but that's fine. 5, 6, 7. Borderlands is a big one. Second. There we go. 8, 9, and then FF15 is 10. And then 11 for Donkey Kong 64, and 12 if you count FF15, which I won't because I'm going to be mean to myself because I didn't technically start it in the year. So 11 games in 12 months. Basically a game a month, but some of them are pretty long and take more than a month to beat. So I'm happy with that. Overall, I hope you enjoyed my content. It's going to keep coming as always. I enjoy making it. I'm still, you know, holding my fingers crossed for that big break, you know, 2022, Joey's year or something. I've been doing this for a decade and my viewership's always been about the same, so I won't hold my breath. But I definitely think that if you're here and you enjoy the content, then thank you very much. I'd like to hear what your favourite playthrough was, and leave a comment or anything I can do better, that kind of thing. I always appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Happy holidays as well. Ta-ra.